Welcome back, y'all. Ryan Hall here with the weather forecast. Today, we're talking about multiple upcoming big winter storms. The pattern is looking dangerously active. We're going to start by looking at a minor little system that's forming today in the Midwest. Then, we're going to take a look at a potentially major ice and snowstorm that's going to happen on the 10th through the 12th. And that's going to be followed up by a brief look at the medium range forecast, where I am really worried about prolonged overrunning ice and snowstorms as we go all the way into next week. Y'all know I love snow, but ice can be a little scary. So let's not take any more time and let's start talking about the weather. All right, here's a big old view of the United States of America, and it is very quiet out there. It's kind of like the calm before the storm. I mean, we do still have our wind chill warnings up here in North Dakota, Montana, Minnesota. Once again, guys, these people are experiencing life-threatening wind chills as low as -50 below zero, and that's associated with our polar vortex that's coming down. That's really going to fuel the fire for our upcoming storm systems. We've really got to pay attention to this area down here. You see this winter weather advisory that's out now for parts of Kansas, Colorado, Oklahoma, just a little bit of Texas. Later on today, a new storm system is going to form there, and it's going to go all the way up through the Ohio Valley. You can see in Illinois through Ohio, there's already a winter weather advisory that will probably extend all the way up into the Northeast as a very mild winter system is coming together that's going to bring snow to a lot of people in the Ohio Valley and Northeast. Let's take a look at that on the models. All right, we're taking a look at the NAM model, the good old NAM model, the North American model at 12 kilometers. Let's go. Here we are around 1 p.m. today. As you can see, our storm's really coming together. We've got light snow in Kansas and Missouri, a little bit of sleet and ice through Oklahoma and Arkansas, and it looks like there's going to be rain showers at the southern edge of this storm all the way down into Mexico. Let's put this into motion. It comes together pretty quickly as it moves off to the east. A pretty moderate to heavy band of snow is going to form in southern Indiana through southern Ohio, maybe a little bit of northern Kentucky there. That's going to have some snowfall rates that are high enough to where you guys are probably going to get a couple inches of snow, more than like 2, you know. I'll talk more about that here in a second, but let's keep putting this into motion. That heavy band of snow continues into Pennsylvania, and we're having snow showers as far north as southern Michigan and upstate New York. And then by 10 a.m. tomorrow, we've got that light snow in northeastern Pennsylvania, moving into Massachusetts now. And once again, it may be moderate at times, but nothing too crazy there. And then that's completely out of here. Just a little bit left of it in Maine by 1 a.m. on Wednesday, okay? So here, let's watch that progression again. Here comes the storm, and there it goes. Very moderate, very light. Snowfall totals from this could range anywhere from a trace of snow all the way up to an inch or so here in the Midwest. It looks like around St. Louis, they could see maybe an inch of snow. The heaviest little skiff of snow is going to happen right here in the Ohio Valley, where 3 to 4 inches is possible, maybe around Dayton, Ohio, on up into Pittsburgh. These totals may be a little bit underdone, but as you can see, it's a widespread, moderate event. If you want to see exactly how much snow I think these guys are going to get, I'm going to be making a community post this evening with my first call for snowfall. If you are a member of the channel, you'll be able to see it. And if you're not a member of the channel, consider becoming one. There's a link in the description. It'll help us out with everything we're doing here immensely, and we thank you so much. But yeah, that's our first little light system moving through. Now let's get into the more serious stuff with our next snowstorm. Okay, now we're taking a look at the Euro model. Look at all of our cold air up here in Canada. It's just waiting to come down here and just freeze our butts off here in the middle part of the United States. But we do have a southeast ridge forming over here that doesn't want to allow that cold air to come all the way down, which is actually great if you're a snow lover. Okay, let's put this into motion. Here's our first storm that we just talked about on the NAM. That's going to get out of here. We're going to go ahead and fast forward through that. Watch this area right here. We're going to have a boundary of extreme cold air coming down and some abundant Gulf moisture coming up right here, and we're going to have a storm form. And it starts out as a widespread area of ice from Oklahoma all the way into West Virginia. And then obviously we've got some snow north of that. And let's put this further into motion. Look at the ice. Look how it forms. Look how it gets heavy now. This is 1 a.m. on Thursday, guys. So we are not far out from this at all. And we've got a heavy ice storm occurring across Kentucky into southern Illinois, extreme southern Indiana, and Arkansas and Missouri. And then we've got snow on top of that through the Ohio Valley. And then if I put it into motion, the ice doesn't go anywhere. In fact, it gets heavier in Kentucky, Missouri, Arkansas, and we've got a little flank going all the way back here into Oklahoma at 1 p.m. on Thursday. A little bit of heavier snow is breaking out now in Maryland, Delaware, southern Jersey over here. But check it out, the ice is still going on all the way into 4 p.m. on Thursday for Kentucky, and then that moves into Virginia, possibly a very significant ice storm going on there with some still moderate snow happening in Maryland, northern Virginia, southern Pennsylvania, and that continues all the way through 4 p.m. on Friday, okay? And that's when that first storm gets out of here. So yeah, this doesn't look good at all to me. However, this may be one of the better shots Maryland and Delaware have of some real snow that we've had in a long time. Yeah, there you go. The hot spot for snow on this storm is going to be northern Virginia, the panhandle of West Virginia, Maryland, Delaware there. Let's zoom in. So the Euro is spitting out 14 14 inches for Northern Virginia here. Washington, D.C. may see up to 10 inches. Baltimore, 8 inches. Guys, it's really important we don't pay too close of attention to these exact totals right now. I know a lot of you guys have gotten your hopes up for storms in the past because they show up like this and then they disappear. And this is showing over 6 inches all the way up into Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is looking like 5 inches or so, but the really sweet spot's going to be down here south of D.C., near Fredericksburg, all the way into West Virginia over here. And then, of course, a little tongue of that snow goes all the way out into northeastern Kentucky, a little bit into southern Illinois, Indiana, and you got to remember a lot of this stuff up here is from our first little moderate snowfall that we just saw. But I'd say half of it is from those overshooting snow showers from our ice storm down south. Speaking of ice, oh boy, according to the Euro, we're talking about maybe a 1/4 inch of accumulation of ice here in central Oklahoma. And then once you get into Arkansas, Missouri, that starts really going up, possibly near a 1/2 inch in eastern Missouri. And then we're talking about a pretty severe situation as we get into Kentucky with over 3/4 of an inch of ice possible from western Kentucky all the way up into like Lexington, Kentucky. Eastern Kentucky here, it's showing some places that could possibly see over an inch of ice, maybe an inch and a quarter, and some isolated areas that see an inch and a half. Just like the snowfall map, don't get too overworked on this. Don't get too worried about this just yet. But an inch and a half of ice in this area of Kentucky would be devastating. It would be very bad, actually. So let's hope that doesn't happen. And then, of course, we've got about a 1/2 inch of ice accumulation through much of Virginia. Okay, let's take a look at the GFS. Let's see what she's saying. And let's put it into motion. There goes our first storm. Our second one starts to form directly afterwards at 7 a.m. on February 10th. And check it out. It shows the ice as well. Jeez, man. That right there is Ice Town, baby. Now, you guys, I love Snowtown. I want to be in Snowtown. I want to be buried in snow. But the ice I can do without, guys. I don't know if you've ever been through an ice storm before, but like it can get hairy. It's not good. Let's keep pushing this through, and the ice is happening once again, big time in Kentucky, down into Tennessee and Arkansas. And this is actually a little bit further north than the Euro. Check it out. The ice is now in the DC area. The snow's a little bit further north. Snow totals are a little bit further north on here. Okay, so let's zoom in. There they are. An area of 6 inches or more is possible from central Illinois through Cincinnati, just south of Pittsburgh, all the way into Philadelphia and the southern New England regions here. So this is a little bit further north. Maryland, Delaware, you don't get the snow on the GFS, but there still is a widespread snowstorm going on here. And now let's take a look at the ice. Once again, light ice accumulation all the way down into Texas. It gets heavier into Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. The GFS isn't putting down as much ice, but it's still a very significant amount from Louisville all the way up into Ashland, Kentucky, near Portsmouth, Ohio, all the way up into West Virginia. Still 3/4 of an inch of ice. It's still a bad deal, especially if we get some winds with this storm too. Woo. It could be bad news, guys. And then we've also got that ice accumulation going all the way up into Maryland and Delaware instead of the snow, unfortunately. So yeah, that's what the GFS is showing. What about the Canadian, eh? All right, let's put her into motion. There goes our first storm, and our second one once again starts forming on February 10th, and it starts out the same way on all these models. I have high confidence that this is a real storm that we're going to be dealing with. The placement of that ice band and the snow band, though, that is still up in the air. I'm not 100% sure. There comes the heavy ice from Texas all the way up into northeastern Kentucky, and there's another stripe of it. Check this out. This has the ice. Actually, this is actually much further south with heavy ice in northwestern Mississippi, all the way through central Tennessee, Nashville, Memphis, Little Rock, Arkansas. But the good news is that it moves a little bit quicker on the Canadian there, and it gets out of here. The Canadian has a heavier hitting ice storm, but a quicker moving one, which may be a good thing. But now let's keep going. Let's look at that medium range forecast, because look at this cold air. It's coming down. There's another system coming down from the Rockies. What's going to happen with that? And oh boy, look here. We've got more overrunning. We've got more ice storms. We've got more snowstorms. We've just got a never-ending cycle, it looks like, here in the southern and southeastern part of the United States for ice to happen. This is what I was afraid of. This is that overrunning scenario that I was talking about. You got a deepening area of cold air over here. You've got a southeast ridge. So you've got cold air on the surface, you got warm air aloft. This is just the unfortunate perfect alignment of the stars per se for ice storms to happen. And then a ton of snow on the backside too. Check out all the snow that's falling. So I'm gonna play this all out again. Just look at the prolonged period of ice and overrunning snowstorms. Whew. The Canadian says it's Snowtown, baby, for everybody up here. Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Wisconsin, upstate New York. Like, this is a very active snow pattern for you. However, I do not like this map. Look at this, guys. A ½ inch of ice, a 3/4 of an inch of ice, all the way down as far south as into Louisiana. Are you kidding me? Real quick explanation as to why these ice storms are setting up like this in this pattern. On Pivotal Weather here, there's a cool feature. You can click and get a digital plot sounding. So in this random spot in Mississippi or wherever I clicked, I'm not 100% sure, the predicted surface temperature here is 24 degrees. Okay, I know this all looks really complicated if you've never seen a skew T-plot before, but like it's really simple. There's just 2 or 3 things you need to pay attention to. The red line here, right? The red line, that plots temperature as you go up into the atmosphere. So we're taking a look at the atmosphere from the surface all the way up into the troposphere. And the green line is the dew point. And for what we're talking about right now, that's not really important. And then this bottom axis down here is the temperature, right? So 0 degrees Celsius, that's 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and it goes off, it veers off like this. If we plot the temperature as we go up into the atmosphere, once again, we're 24 degrees on the surface. 9 times out of 10, if it's 24 degrees outside, it's snowing. But that cold air is shallow on the surface because it's a part of our polar vortex, and it's running in on a bunch of warm air, which gets pushed up aloft because warm air rises. So we have this layer of air right here that's warm. Imagine you're a snowflake, right? And you're up here in the atmosphere and you're just having a dandy time, and you begin to fall to the ground, and you're falling and you're falling and you're a snowflake. And then, oh, you enter this area where there's a warm bulb. As you can see, that temperature dips this way over here. It goes past the freezing line, so it's a little bit above freezing. Your snow, you're falling, your snow, oh, you begin to melt. Now you're rain, and now you're going back into the cold. Some of these raindrops, some of these, snowflakes may turn back into sleet, but the majority of them won't have time to refreeze back into snowflakes, and they'll hit the ground as raindrops, where it's 24 degrees and freeze on impact. Also want to show you the significance of these ice storms and the damage they can cause. Just over a ½ inch of ice with, no winds, and we're not 100% sure how the winds are going to be in this storm. Scattered utility interruptions expected, typically lasting 12 to 24 hours. Roads and travel conditions may be extremely hazardous due to ice accumulation, and that's just the ½ inch to the 1/4 inch. If we've got a 1/4 inch to an inch of ice, which a lot of these models are suggesting, numerous utility interruptions with some damage to main feeder lines and equipment expected. If we're talking about an inch to an inch and a half of ice, prolonged and widespread utility interruptions with extreme damage to main distribution and feeder lines and some high voltage transmission lines and structures, outages lasting 5 to 10 days. And then if we were to happen to get over an inch and a half of ice anywhere, which is unlikely, but some of the models are suggesting this, we're talking about catastrophic damage to entire exposed utility systems, including both distribution and transmission networks. Outages could last several weeks in some areas. Shelters needed. Guys, that's all the weather talk I have for you today. If you want to track these storms with me, make sure you subscribe. Turn those notifications on. Like literally 80% of you guys are not subscribed. And if you are a member, make sure you keep looking out for my snow map for this first storm. I'm going to start doing that for every storm. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Rip!